In this edition of our Inside Report, we are going to explore the aftermath of the tragic episode that occurred March 10th. But first, let's take a look at the chain of events immediately prior to that sad day in Virginia City. 15 months earlier, the Overland Stage Company had terminated Joseph Alfred Slade from his position of operations director following allegations of abuse and workplace harassment. Slade tried forming a freighting partnership that was unsuccessful due to a lack of funds and government contracts. Depression set in and Mr. Slade's business contacts dissolved. His forced retirement was followed by months of heavy alcohol abuse. Finally, an opportunity arose. An impossible task that would drive him and his staff to extreme physical limits. Against all odds, and at the onset of winter, he achieved recognition, delivering much-needed supplies to the newly established Virginia City, Montana. Success was short-lived, and Slade once again reverted to his old habits of frequent binging. With the town lacking legal enforcement, citizens formed a committee to handle lawless activities, and by mid-March they turned their attention to Mr. Slade and the problem of physical and emotional distress they felt every time Slade rode into town and began another chemical-induced attack. On March 9th, Mr. Slade and party descended, intent to drink the town dry. Before that goal could be achieved, however, the alcohol level in their bodies exceeded the level of common sense with the climactic discharge of firearms. This awakened citizens and created great distress. The Citizens Committee began to gather with the intent of quieting the partygoers who showed no signs of abandoning the festivities. They decided greater numbers were needed and sent for assistance from nearby Nevada City. By mid-morning of March 10, 1864, several of Mr. Slade's party had gone to sleep it off. At this point, a few merchants sympathetic to Mr. Slade tried to reason with the drunken Slade the importance of following the example of his retired companions. But Mr. Slade was devoted to keeping the party going. By early afternoon, the citizens from both towns surrounded and subdued Mr. Slade. After a hasty court hearing that determined a permanent solution, the prisoner was carried off to a large tree at the outskirts of town. Volunteers rode out to alert Slade's wife of the volatile situation. However, before she reached town, Slade's lifeless form adorned the tree. Mrs. Slade retrieved her husband's body and returned to the ranch, refusing to inter him in a town so unfriendly and unjust. She ordered a custom-made, specially lined casket where she could preserve Slade embalmed in whiskey, and waited for improved road conditions. For months, Jack Slade's remains lay in state in the Slade parlor. Finally, in June, the casket was loaded atop a Peabody and Caldwell stage headed for Salt Lake City, Utah. On July 20th, the body was temporarily placed in a pauper's plot while the widow Slade negotiated for money and transportation to take her husband home to Carlisle, Illinois. Unfortunately, in disposing of her Montana holdings, dubious liens and claims were placed against the Slade properties by the very people who had terminated Mr. Slade's existence. Stripped of finances, Mrs. Slade was forced to abandon her husband's body in Salt Lake. And so it is that Jack Slade's marker lies in the center of what appears to be a barren plat of a large cemetery, where one can only imagine the embalming whiskey leaches into the remains of nearby Mormon teetotalers. The last round is on Jack.